Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Happy's Place reviews here on the Let's Get Ready Network. I'm Adelia. This is my buddy Brandi. We just watched episode 11, and I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I thought there was some good humor. I thought there was a lot of heart to it, and Bobby has a crush on Emmett, which is
I
just the
know.
best. So let's start talking about this. How you feel about the episode overall, Brandi?
I liked it. And I always said I wanted Bobby and Emmett together because I could just see it, even though they're like total opposites. But that's what happens. Opposites attract. We all know that.
Mhm.
I'm a prime example of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really loved the episode. And yeah, and the stuff with so we had this other storyline with Steve going on in Dakota and Gabby. And then we had Isabella, Emmett, and Bobby. And they mesh. They have their own side things. I like that. I like the little.
Yeah, I like the way that they play around with the ensemble and they
Mhm.
mix the pairings for the storylines together. But we still usually have some combination of Bobby and Isabella in the same storyline.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna be more in the story together because they're sisters. So
Yeah. So everyone's showing up to work at the
late.
beginning of this episode. Emmett is late, and Emmett is not usually late. And Steve shows up late, and Emmett is still not there. And Steve starts talking about, oh, it's probably because of that girl with the long hair and the glasses that he was talking to about his tater tots.
Well, first Isabella comes in, and he's like, "Oh, you're not Emmett," and then Steve comes
Isabella
in after.
comes in. And Bobby goes, oh, you're not Emmett. And she's like, do you want me to come back in and you can throw things at me? But Bobby is just concerned because Emmett is never late.
Yeah.
Which is a good concern to have when you have an employee that's always on time and then suddenly they're late.
And they're best friends. And
yeah, they're very good friends. And as we learn throughout this episode, Bobby really has some feelings for him. And
even though she doesn't say it, she's just like, no. And Isabella is the one to point them out. And she's like, I'm gonna go tell everybody at the bar what you said. Ha ha ha. Goes out the door, comes back in. I'm not telling anybody, neither are you.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
That's a little bit later, though. That's after Emmett shows up for work.
Yeah, that was after.
So everybody is joking around about Emmett possibly, taking this girl home last night. And Steve's like, can't you just imagine someone calling him Big Daddy and all this stuff?
Oh, I liked when they did the play with I like your sweaty bandana.
Yeah. And then they both got Gabby and Steve both got totally grossed out at what they were doing and were like, this is over. And so Bobby tells everybody to stay out of Emmett's private life and walks away before they do the little, joking around that Gabby and Steve did. And then when Emmett finally does show up, Bobby and Isabella are in the kitchen.
Bobby is tenderizing the meat.
Yeah, Bobby is flattening out some steaks with a meat tenderizer. And to say that she keeps hitting the steak every time Emmett says, I'm not going to tell you why I was late. It's very funny. So Isabella's like, I think this steak is flat enough. She gets another steak and Bobby starts pounding on that one even harder. And so eventually Isabella says, maybe the steaks are good enough. And Bobby's like, all right, chop vegetables. Let me get the cleaver. And Isabella senses how angry Bobby is at how Emmett's not telling her why he's late. And
the spoon.
Yeah,
stir the vegetables,
diverts her away from the knives and says, you need to stir the soup with a nice spoon with blunt edges. And then Emmett, she tries to get Emmett to tell her again, and Isabella says, I don't think you can actually legally ask him about his personal life. And Bobby bangs the spoon down 3 times and walks out. And Emmett goes, those last 3 were for you. And then Emmett gets to work in the kitchen, and Isabella goes into Bobby's office, where Bobby's sitting down now with a stamp, stamping bills as paid, and she just keeps stamping them because she's still so angry. It was a very funny visual gag that I thought worked well.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was funny.
This is where Isabella says, "I think you have feelings for Emmett."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Bobby says, it just starts laughing and says, "I'm going to go tell everyone what you said. That's so funny." And then comes back into the office immediately and is like, "I'm not telling nobody, and neither are you."
Nope.
And then I think that was our first commercial break, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Steve, meanwhile, is trying to break himself of his OCD habits.
Mm-hmm.
And he's decided to do this in the bar that day by sitting in a different seat.
Because Steve just sits in one spot. Kind of like Norm from Cheers.
Kind of like Norm from Cheers, but
Mhm.
he's always in that one particular chair. So he's on the other side of the bar this time, and he's wiping down a stool and
with the Lysol
with
wipe.
Lysol wipes. Yeah. And he stops and he sort of like says, "Okay, I'm gonna sit in this stool today, and I'm gonna the world's not gonna end, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing bad is going to happen because I'm not sitting in my usual chair."
Mm-hmm.
And Gabby and Dakota are right there watching as Steve is like psyching himself up.
I liked when they're standing there and the guy from one of the extra guys standing there, and Bobby's like, Gabby's like, "This is a private thing, Carl."
This is private Carl.
And he goes and sits back down.
Steve goes to sit down, doesn't sit down, and then Gabby basically is like,
I liked when he put his leg up to go sit on it, and he was like, his butt was over it, but then he spun himself back around and was standing up again.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Pablo was great with the acting on this part.
Oh my god, yeah. And I like how Gabby was trying to use tactics like, "My mom pushed me into the swimming pool. I couldn't swim, so she pushed me in to try to teach me." And she's trying to push Steve basically into the deep end. That's basically what it was.
Yeah. And eventually Gabby says to him, "The world is not going to end. The sky is not going to fall, basically, if you sit on this stool. Nothing bad's going to happen." And Steve sits down.
Does she help him? I can't remember if she...
I don't think she helps him. I think this is after she sort of pushed him forward and everything. Steve eventually does sit down on the stool, but then almost immediately we have Emmett dropping things in the kitchen. And Dakota calls out for Bobby because Emmett's like got his hand on his torso and he's like doubled over in pain. And everybody is suddenly very concerned about Emmett, and Gabby immediately tells Steve to stand up. And
excuse me,
Bobby comes into the kitchen, and Emmett's trying to say he's fine. He just needs a place to sit down for a minute. And Bobby, he eventually says the pain was just like this morning. It'll go away. And eventually Bobby walks out of the kitchen for a minute, comes back, tells Emmett she's got him a place where he can sit down and be alone, and it's an ambulance, and it'll be here in 2 minutes.
I thought, yeah. He's like, yeah, he's all like, "Okay, yeah, that's great. It's an ambulance. It'll be here in a few minutes."
Emmett's not happy. You can just tell. And so Emmett and Bobby leave the kitchen, leaving Dakota there, and Dakota's like, "Yeah, I'll cover the kitchen. Thanks for asking."
Yeah.
And I think we went to commercial then too, didn't we? Yeah. And then at the hospital, Bobby and Isabella are in the waiting room. And Bobby's telling Isabella that they're waiting on the test results, but the doctors think everything's fine. He can't find anything wrong. And Bobby's all like, "But I called an ambulance. They sent the paramedics." Like, um, and she doesn't understand why she did that because, when she was in high school, she fell off her horse and broke 3
Three
ribs and
ribs.
still went to homecoming.
And Isabella told her because that happened to you, not somebody else.
Yeah.
So she cares about somebody else, and she wanted them to. And is this when she said? Because there's a plain words where she said, Emmett, he says "attaboy" when he farts. Like I don't know if that was
Yeah.
here or if that was in the
Well, this is after Isabella gets Bobby to admit that she has feelings for him. Like carve their names in a tree kind of
three
feelings for
feelings.
him. And Isabella says maybe you should tell Emmett that. Maybe you should have a second chance at true love, just like you told me it's worth the risk. And Bobby's like, yeah, when am I going to tell him that? While he's writing poetry or maybe during one of his ballroom dancing classes? And Isabella's like, Emmett takes ballroom dance? And Bobby's like, no, he's a boy. And that's when she says the attaboy thing, which is a nice bit of foreshadowing because I never thought that was going to come back into play.
Until I pointed it out to you, right?
No, I realized
You
that
realize that.
it was the foreshadowing, but I just thought that was something Bobby was gonna say that was funny. I
Mhm.
didn't think they'd actually have Emmett do it at the end of the episode. So the doctor comes in and says he can't, for medical reasons, tell them what is wrong with Emmett, but that Emmett's fine and he's going to be discharged shortly.
And Bobby says I shouldn't have called the ambulance.
And the
Maybe not
doctor's
an
like,
ambulance.
don't
Didn't
think
need
this
an
was
ambulance.
an ambulance requirement sort of situation. Um, and then they sit back down, and in comes a woman with long black hair and glasses holding flowers who's looking for Emmett. And Bobby loses her shit.
Well, first she was looking, and Bobby's like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "I'm looking for Emmett." And Bobby was like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
I gotta
Bobby,
smack you."
yeah, I had to smack you. You and your tater tots, and you put him in here and all kinds of stuff like that, and just chases this poor woman
Wait,
away,
well,
grabs the
pulls the
flowers.
flowers.
Yeah, grabs the flowers, chases the poor woman away, and then looks down at the flowers, and there's a card from Gabby, Dakota, and Steve. They had the flowers delivered. She was just the delivery lady. And she's like, "Oh, they may have just had these delivered." And Isabella's like, "You really need to calm down." You can just tell.
Mhm.
Then we're back at the bar, and Steve has moved back to
To
his
his.
other stool,
Mhm.
and Gabby feels bad because she's pushed Steve so much to sit on the stool on the opposite side of the bar from where he normally is.
Mhm.
And she comes out, um, and she's
Apologizing.
kneels, apologizes, kneels, does the Game of Thrones shame thing with a napkin.
Hits the girl behind her. Goes, "Oops,
Hit,
sorry."
yeah, hits the girl behind her with the napkin. And Steve's like, "Why are you doing this? I think this was a good first step of this process.
Mhm.
I sat on that stool. It might have
Mhm.
been for 10 seconds, but I sat on this stool."
Which
And I
bull riders last 8 seconds, so he lasted longer than a bull rider.
exactly. And
I like how he said.
I'm really proud of Steve.
I like how he said, "I'll miss my friends on the other side," but he only had them for
Yeah.
6 seconds.
Yeah. Dakota's like, "You sat there for 10 seconds." Well, that's 2 more seconds than a bull
Bull rider.
rider. But I was really proud of Steve in this
Mhm.
episode for
Mhm.
even taking that step because that's really hard to do.
Oh, it is.
So,
Oh, I know how things are hard. Make it.
positivity for Steve for
Mhm.
sure. And then at some point in time, Gabby had said to them that Bobby said Emmett it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emmett's getting discharged at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby goes over to where his bed is
In the
and
back.
finds him in the
Johnny.
hospital gown.
The Johnny.
Yeah. Finds him in the hospital gown, and Emmett jokes that she just wanted to see a peek at his
His
bare butt.
in his butt.
And Bobby just stumbles her way through saying she doesn't want to see it, but she knows what it looks like, but it was described to her.
It was described to her, yeah. He's like, okay.
Yeah. So Emmett closes the curtains
Mhm.
and he's getting dressed, and Bobby's telling him, I know you didn't want me to call an ambulance.
Yeah.
But I only did it because, and Emmett goes, because you know me.
Yeah, you know me.
And Emmett
He's stubborn.
says, he's stubborn, he's cranky, old man,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't have gone himself.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it because she cared, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And he only will tell her things like that because they're the best of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it means the world to him, that friendship, and he'd
Mhm.
never do anything to risk it.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Now it's the will
Yeah.
they won't they of
Yeah.
There's the start of it.
There's the start of it. And then Bobby's like, yeah, I don't want to do anything to risk it either.
And she tells him to turn around.
Yeah, and then she tells him to turn around, and he's like, why? And she's just like, turn around. And then she just stares at his butt for a minute and is like, yep, exactly how it was described to me.
To me.
So they come back to the bar, and Gabby's so happy to see Emmett, and Steve's so happy to see Emmett, and that Emmett's okay. And they keep asking Emmett, are you sure you want to keep working today?
Yeah.
And Emmett's like, I answered this 15 times in the car. Yes, I'm sure. And he goes into the kitchen.
Wait, Isabella asked him one more time.
Yeah, Isabel asked him one more time. He goes into the kitchen, and Bobby goes to put the flowers in some water.
Mhm.
And Isabella's like, you know, I'm real good at keeping secrets. And Bobby's like, are you?
Are you really?
Are you really? And then Emmett's in the kitchen. He thanks Dakota.
From Dakota's in there cooking still, and everybody's
Yeah.
at the window.
Yeah. Everybody comes to the window. They want to know what was wrong with Emmett. They think it's a medical mystery. Dakota says, I looked it up and I thought it could be indigestion. And Gabby's like, or pregnancy, but you have the man marbles.
The man marbles. She cracks me up.
She does crack me up. And Emmett eventually gets them all out of the kitchen. And then he turns on the opera music. And then he just like has this smile on his face. Then he goes, attaboy.
He turns down the music, says attaboy.
Yep.
So he said, Dakota, you should be a doctor. Didn't he say something like that,
He
Dakota?
did, because Dakota came over after that and said, Dakota, you should be a doctor.
Because he had gas. That's what it was. He had gas, and he turned the music up because he had to fart.
Yep. So now we know that's what Emmett does. I think that's really funny. It's so fitting for Emmett. And I like that we've started sort of like a through line storyline here of Bobby and Emmett. When are they getting together?
Yeah, that's gonna be the will they won't they of a show. We know how that goes. I know how that goes. That happened for a lot of seasons on Castle.
Yeah.
Happened a lot of seasons on a lot of things that I watched. Cheers was one of them too.
It's a very common TV trope.
It's a very trope. Yeah, it's a soap opera thing too.
I'm not surprised by this development because I believe the actor that plays Emmett is Reba's boyfriend in real life.
It is.
So I was wondering if they were going to do something like this.
Yeah.
I'm glad they took like 10 episodes to sort of like establish the ensemble and
Mhm.
the dynamics between Bobby and Isabella as sisters.
Mhm.
Then now we can move on to
And
the
then now
Bobby and Emmett stuff.
wait, it developed with the sisters, and then her being taken over the bar too. They've developed that
Mhm.
too because it was Happy's, and now she's the main caretaker now. So they've developed all that, and they got their groove. I think they got their groove going. So I'm pretty much enjoying this show. Like, I really like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we decided to do this because I saw the commercial. I'm like, Adelia, I have an idea. I think we should watch this show because I was such a fan of Reba, the other show, that I'm like, they're funny. Melissa and Reba are funny together, so I'm like, I
They're
have to
very funny
tune in.
together.
And I love Reba as a person, like singer, person, whatever. Like, I love her. I just think she's funny. She's just
I
got
think
that.
she's very funny. I think she's got
Mhm,
really good comedic timing,
mhm. That's just
which,
her personality. Because
yeah,
I've seen interviews of her too, and she's like, it's her personality, and I love it. And I was like, we gotta
yeah.
watch the show, and here we are. We're into 11 episodes now. We're gonna keep going. We will keep
Yeah.
going until the show's going no more. Adelia, we may have a few
Yep.
years. With
I do hope this show gets renewed because
oh, I
I
do.
am not seeing very good reviews of it so far.
I don't know
Which
why.
I don't
But
understand.
that's a lot of shows too. A lot of shows don't have like that thing, but then they pick up later in the seasons. Hopefully they still give it a shot to keep
Yeah,
going for season
yeah.
2 to maybe hopefully pick up more fans. We just gotta spread the word and get people to watch. Be like, if they loved Reba, they'll love this show. It's a different vibe, but it's still got the same comedic
Yeah.
elements, and I like it. I
I
love
like
it.
it a lot too. I believe there's 18 episodes in the
This
season.
this season.
That's what's on IMDb right now is 18 episodes.
Mhm.
So we will see. We might only have 7 episodes left, which kind of makes me sad
That makes
because
me
I'm
sad
really
too.
enjoying it.
I do too. I remember when seasons had like 20, 24 episodes in a season, 25, 26. Like back
Yeah.
in the day when we were younger. That made it sound really old. back, back in our day,
Back in our day.
we walked back and forth to school in snow, wind, rain, everything. Barefoot. No, not barefoot. We didn't go barefoot.
We went uphill both ways,
Miles
all
for
that.
miles.
Yeah.
Actually, I did walk to school in the snow, and I'm
All
old.
right. Now, it looks like there's no episode next week. I've
Mhm.
checked 2 different sources. I don't see an episode next week. So we will be back for episode 12, which is apparently on the 31st.
Whenever they give it to us, we will be
Yeah.
back with new episodes each time that they give them. And maybe some days we might be a day late or so, but will definitely get our reviews and our words, our words,
We
our
might even
thoughts.
have to do a couple of these reviews together
Mhm.
in person,
Oh
which
yes,
would be fun.
hopefully that would be good. Because Adelia will be visiting me.
Yep.
We're in different states. If you didn't know, I'm in Massachusetts. Adelia's in Nebraska. 2 worlds apart. But in March we will be together, so hopefully we'll have some new Reba episode when we're out there, and we can do it in person
Yeah.
in the lovely bedroom.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. But for now, since there's no
Mhm,
episode next week, I want you guys to go in the comments.
mhm,
First leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, then go in the comments and tell us which member of the ensemble is your favorite character so far.
mhm. Give us all your thoughts. How you're liking the show. Like, how do you feel that the ensemble is doing together? Also, like how you feel their vibe is. If you're liking it, if you're not liking it, like let us know your thoughts. We'd love to interact with everybody. This is like I love this show, and I need more. I need more fans of Happy's Place to come together. So I'm
Yeah.
down for it. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's get us a season
And
2.
if you want to join me and Brandi on an episode of the post credits talking about Happy's Place, you can do so by becoming a member on our Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/LGR_network. $3 a month gets you into our Discord where you can watch the episode with us, and then higher tiers get you an opportunity to come on the post credits and talk about it with us. We'd love to have someone to talk about the show with, so consider it. And we appreciate all the support, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Until next time, we are out of here.
Bye, guys.